Hello, everyone. It's Kate Stillman with Yogahealer.com, and I have the absolute pleasure of being here with Deva, Premal, and Miten. And they both have new releases, and we're going to do some sound and healing and mantra in the next half hour or so. How would you two like to begin? I just feel like I'm going to surrender to...
That's what we usually begin with.
Start with a mantra and then surrender. That's it. Usually it's surrender.
We surrender and then we start with a mantra.
Because, you know, the whole thing with the mantras is you're not surrendered, then don't bother. You know, there has to be an intention there. It's not a career move, you know, chanting mantras, you know. You know what I mean? It's not there. So you have to begin with surrender, Kate, and then you have the mantra. So we will begin with a universal peace mantra, shall we?
Okay.
Would you like that?
Okay, it's okay. It was a little, we don't need it.
I don't need that.
Hmm?
Deep breath.
Sham Mitra, Sham Varuna, Sham no Bhavet Varyamam, Sham na Indro Brahaspati, Sham no Vishnu Rukrama, Namo Brahmane, Namaste Vayu, Tvamiva Pratyaksham Brahmasi, Tvamiva Pratyaksham Brahma Vaisyami, Ritam Vaisyami, Satyam Vaisyami, Tamam avatu, tatvaktanam avatu, avatu mam, avatu vaktanam. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
What was your question?
I don't know if I have I can make a question. I would love to hear more. So you had, Miten, you had open heart surgery, and from that, you created this album, Devotee. And I would love for you to talk about your creative process with it, if it's different, if this was different, or how you receive and generate.
Yeah, no, in that way it wasn't any different. The songs always come, you know. It's been part of my life since I was a young guy. And the difference now is that the creative process is a little different because I don't chase the songs anymore like I used to when I was younger. I just and that arose about 40 years ago when I first came to Osho in Pune in India, and that was when I was in the ashram and in his community, and started to learn meditation, and I started to learn what sacred music is. Like we were saying about surrender, music has to appear out of silence for it to be sacred. It needs a space of attention and silence is a bit of it's a little bit too much of it's a bit cheap word, but it comes from out of the space of meditation and silence inside, and it takes you on a journey, and then when it lands, it brings you to a deeper silence, to the one you just left. So that's what devotee is. It's my attempt to do that with my style of music, which is not mantras. You know, that was something that I learned I learned the benefits of the mantras first through Osho and then through Deva. Deva will tell you about herself, but she.
No, but that's not about it.
No, but it is part of it. It's all part of it. It's really partnering, you know, because without you, without the Gayatri Mantra, we wouldn't have been on this journey.
But I think it would also be beautiful to say about the music to die to aspect, you know, because that was it's just such a big part of the mood.
Many people have told us, you know, that they use our music for those very auspicious moments in life, those sacred moments like giving birth to children or saying goodbye to a loved one. Our music accompanies quite often in our Sangha those situations. And in a way, I focused with devotee, I tried to focus on making music for those kind of moments, you know, moments when the music is there in an invisible way, but in a very energetic and vibrational context, you know. So that was the aim with devotee. It was like when after the heart operation, of course, you know, I kind of had this rebirth feeling of being about 2 weeks afterwards, a feeling like I'd gone through a birth canal, and after some days of catharsis where Deva was holding the space for me to deal with the trauma of the body, the physicality of the body. Once that was over, I felt like, oh, I'm reborn and I'm a young spirit in this decaying body, you know. So it's kind of interesting. And so that's basically where devotee comes from. Like I said, but without Deva and I have been on such an incredible journey. We're 30 years together next year.
Wow.
We're like 24/7. And it's just amazing. And without the mantras and without her music and chanting, would never have happened, of course, you know. You know.
I just have to finish round this off because I really liked that while we were recording devotee, there was this question, you know, can you die to this music? And that doesn't mean that it's music that's only slow or only, I guess, sad, because we always connect such sadness with death. Or, you know, like it has reggae in it and has blues in it, you know, because it's all in that moment that is also intensely alive, you know, because it's so, everything is so magnified in that moment. And
But
personally, I'm anyway so kind of passionate about death and about what that means, and you know, like
that's why she's hanging out with me.
So for me, it's not something terrible. I find it like, is it music to let go into the mystery too, you know, which is really what that is. And it happens in all kinds of life situations, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a huge concept, right? If we look in yoga in general, of like the death and rebirth cycle, and it's part of all ancient traditions where we allow ourselves to go through cycles within the larger cycle of life. And in a modern Western culture, it's like I'd say it's the weakest part of the cycle. Like we're good at like starting things and going for it, but less so on the closure, less so on the silence and the space that Miten brought up earlier, in the silence and then allowing for a deeper silence and a deeper vibration and that grounding and rooting that's part of the decay and compost and process before regeneration.
By talking about regeneration, we told the people on the tour that for every devotee album they bought, we would plant trees to be proactive, in, you know, with all the terrible fires that went on in Brazil while we were on tour in the Amazon, and again now in Australia, and last year in California. So we planted about 2,500 trees on that tour, which is really nice.
Wow.
It's our way of giving back as best we can, you know, because we travel a lot on planes, which we know is something that we're trying to cut down on. But you know, it's our understanding right now is that, you know, there's a job to be done.
Yeah.
There's a gathering to be had, and we really need to support each other on that way too. So we're going down to South America soon. We're going to Australia first, and then Costa Rica, and then South America.
I saw that on your tour schedule, and I'd love to talk a little bit about what happens when people come from the busyness of their life or whatever their life is like, and they come and they're with you, and they are able to surrender a few days to silence and to vibration and resonance and mantra and voice and healing. Like what do you see is the process there?
I feel it's an out breath, you know. It's the deep decompressing, and it's also such a relief, because what we do, what is, you know, it's also in yoga, as in the asanas and in the bhakti yoga with the chanting. There is no goal. Maybe it's even less with the chanting than with asanas, because asanas you could still feel like you're doing them as good as this person, or they're doing it really, whatever, they look great or whatever. But with singing and chanting, it's just such an in the moment affair that nobody is even listening to or judging, or there's also nothing in the end like, oh wow, I can chant better now than I could an hour ago, you know. Like, it's not like you practice because you want to sing better or chant better, but it's you chant because it's only this moment, and once the moment is gone, it's gone, you know. But the silence remains, and the deep peace and the deep joy remains, and the feeling of wow, I've contributed to the sound in this room with all these people. Like, my voice was part of this ecstasy. And I also feel that it's the only place now really where there's no answers, you know. Like, there's no questions and no answers. There's no spiritual concepts, or, you know, of course you could say there are concepts because it comes from the Hindu tradition, and there are gods and goddesses and deities who have certain attributes and aspects, but really it's energy, and we don't even need to know all the stories and all the names of the deities. We can just tune into the sound right here, right now, and close our eyes and immerse ourselves in it, surrender to it, and then feel what that does. So it's perfect.
All we know is that there's some power in what we're chanting that we felt, and I mean that's kind of the bottom line. Is somehow we don't need to know what they mean, but it's like you say about a headache pill, you know, you don't need to know what the ingredient is to get rid of the headache. And it's a bit like that, I think. When what we know is that it's stronger than singing, I love you, baby, you left me last night, and I'm never going to see you again, or whatever, you know. Even the beautiful songs, even the fantastic songs, they're still descriptive. They can open the heart, and they're an emotional content. That's what these beautiful songs can do. But the mantras are beyond. They're beyond the emotional body. You know, they carry a different. They carry a different vibration. And I'm speaking from experience. You know, I've really done both. You know, and it's very obvious that we're playing with very powerful sound formulas, you know, and and you know, you have to approach them with great respect. Deva, you know, the thing with Deva is that they're in her blood. She was conceived, not only born to them, but conceived with the Gayatri Mantra. It was chanted all through the childhood. She chanted it all through her childhood, you know, and so
Actually, we sit in the very room I was born in.
this is the room she was born in with a chanting the Gayatri mantra. That's amazing.
And how did that come about? Which of your parents brought it in, and what was the story behind that?
My father was really the root of it and the pioneer, because you know, he got into yoga and meditation in the 50s or very early 60s. And we are sitting in front of one of his pieces of art. This was a cupboard, and I don't know if you can see it, but there's an Om sign in every figure here. So he had this, the Om sign was his signature already, like from the 50s on, you know, like the Om wasn't fashionable then, you know, like it wasn't on every t-shirt or whatever, you know. But he had a very big discipline and a thoroughness that he would just immerse himself in mantra and Sanskrit study and study of the scriptures and practices and hours and hours for over years, and from out of that source of that strong foundation, he felt the Gayatri mantra was the most important mantra to share with his kids. So that's what we grew up with, that's what we were born with, and he chanted before the pregnancy. And yeah, I'm so grateful for that now. It wasn't at the time, but really now. And my mom, she was right there with him, and she found her own spiritual path when she was 50. With
She was a
Osho.
music teacher.
She was a music teacher, but you know, from the Christian, she really was very, very Christian, deeply rooted in Christianity. But also what's beautiful, my father also explored Christianity deeply and painted it and learned the gospel, one of the gospels by heart and stuff. So it's really, there's a real appreciation for different paths. And that's what we felt with Osho. That's why Osho resonates so much with us, because Osho took us so deep into many different paths so that we could see the essence and the oneness, unity. And so when we sing, we don't just sing mantras, we sing African chants also, or Yoruba chants, or Native American, because, you know, obviously there is a sacredness in so many traditions.
Yeah.
You want to chant the Gayatri? Do you want to do the Gayatri? 7 chakra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the 7 chakra Gayatri mantra, which is the long form of the Gayatri. Om Bhuma, Om Swaha, Om Jana, Om Tapa, Om Satya, Om Tat Saviturvarenyam, Bhargo Deva Sadhimahi Dhiyo Yona Prachodayat.
So I'd love for you to talk about the Gayatri and the being one with the 5 elements and the vibration of the 5 elements, and how that, you know, helped, or it seems like it's a cornerstone in your life, this mantra, and how that, you know, just what it's based on and what it awakens to. It was the first mantra I learned in Ayurveda college, for sure. It's just like, what's the vibration of the elements? Let's tap right into that so we can know it from the vibrational resonance side instead of just the intellectual side. So I'd love to hear, you know, as you've grown up with this mantra, what it's meant to you, or in relationship to the 5 elements.
I mean, for me, really, when I feel the Gayatri and when I sing it and chant it, it's the light that I tune into, and that's obviously reflected in the sun as a physical manifestation of that light that is so beyond us and so huge and so bright and lights up every single corner of the universe and our lives and within our inner space. And the Gayatri has that power for me that it can light up my inner world. And I grew up with a kind of short form of the Gayatri mantra that doesn't actually spell out the 7 levels, like the 7 chakra that we just sang, which we just chanted. And
Just try one time.
that's, or maybe I should sing it how I grew up with it.
All 3.
Yeah.
Argo devasya imai yona prachodaya.
Yeah, so that's what is called the short form of the Gayatri mantra. So for me, yeah, it's an invocation to the light, and that for me is basically all that's needed, because once everything is light and awake and energized by the light, there's nothing else.
It's the rays of the sun.
Mm.
That's the magic part.
Mm.
It's not the heat, but it's the rays of the sun. That's where the Gayatri is.
Like rays are the connection between the light that is so huge and that's so, in a way, also dangerous, too much for us. But the rays are what arrives in our lives and what gives us nourishment, gives us life. So the Gayatri is that connection between that is that we can't benefit from because it's of its grandness, but it's kind of like a channel of that energy.
Beautiful. So you talked a little bit before about how mantra has this ancient history, and it's these sound codes that seem to unlock certain blockages to the light, if you will, within us. I was at years ago, I think it was back in 2004, so it was a long time ago. I was at Krishna Macharya's Yoga Mandiram in their Vedic chanting school, and it was a lot of chanting. I think maybe 10 hours a day. And after a couple of weeks, I couldn't believe how much more open my body was. Like just how, and I have I'm pretty muscular, very athletic, have a pretty tight type constitution. And I was so open and so flexible, as if I'd been doing 10 hours of yoga a day. But it was the sound that released some of this, and very cathartically, this, just the tightness or the stuckness or the stagnation in my body and my mind, and in all the levels of the koshas. And it was interesting there, because the way that they chant at the place is that there's a lot of precision. There's a lot of precision to it, and like the sticking to the code, the sticking to the structure of the mantra. And it was fascinating to me just how, they have this whole medical side of their school there in terms of which mantras for which diseases, and they're doing a lot of study there to analyze what's working and why it's working. And so many Westerners are not really aware of the potency and power and the rapidity of sound as healing. Like when you're working at the level of sound and vibration and resonance, it's a different field than just working with, like surgeries or pills, or where you're actually you're trying to affect the biochemistry in a way that's really manual or physical, compared to sound, mantra, voice, these codes that unlock certain vibrations. I'd love to hear just what you've seen in terms of healing with sound. And
it's scientific, like you say, it's something that happened thousands of years ago when people were experimenting with exactly that. You know, like, how does sound affect us? How does sound affect the body, mind, organism? What happens? What happens if we use this sound, and what happens if we chant it? Once the effect is there, how many times, how many cycles do you have to chant it to create that effect, or that resonance? And that's your first mantra, you know, to follow it on, because that's the key to everything. So you know, you know, I like to look on now mantras as if they're like acupuncture. You know, the mantras are needles. They go into different mantras, different needles resonate in different ways, and that's the beauty of the mantra. That's why the science. There's mantras for everything. You know, there's mantras for, you know, finding your dog when it disappears and things
I'm
like
sure a
that.
cow. I would have
No,
thought.
actually,
I'm
there
not
is.
sure if they've never done
Well, no, there is a mantra for finding things.
that's
Guru Ganesha, Guru Ganesha taught us a mantra for finding things,
and it really works.
and it works. So, you know, but there's mantras for making love. There's mantras for moving energetic blocks out of your stones, out of your pathway. You know, there's so many different needles and different places to actually connect. So the thing that we like to do in the mantras is to, you know, in a way, our albums are an introduction into mantras. You know, it just happens that Deva's, because they're so strong in her and she has such a beautiful way of expressing it and sharing it through her voice. So, you know, my job in there has been to support that. And I've lost my thread.
Yeah, I wanted to more say when you said about the healing power of mantra and what the experience is, that I mean, we receive so many mails that blow our minds of people telling us miraculous shifts. They're like shifts in energy, transformations in energy that happen. Maybe somebody comes to a concert, or somebody comes to a week-long program, or somebody hears a mantra that's being played while they're having a massage, and they don't even know that it's a mantra. And some like literally, there's somebody who wrote to us, that's what happened to her. She was basically depressed in so much that she was contemplating suicide, and she was gifted a massage, and the Gayatri mantra was playing, and the light went on literally, and she found that one spark again that then ignited a whole journey. That's now she chants the Gayatri mantra every day. Just kind of, and there it shows to me that again it's beyond our minds, it's beyond placebo effect. But even if there was a placebo effect, that's no problem. But also, you know, because it whatever works. But also with the autistic children that we play to, there's this beautiful facility in upstate New York, Center for Discovery, where they have the possibility that their autistic children, clients, residents, and also adults can listen to concerts every week. They're invited to have concerts every week. And so we are one of these concerts that happen there. And we've played there a few times now. And each time the staff comes to us afterwards, like, we cannot believe this. We've never seen our children so restful and so relaxed and so attentive for so long, you know, like 1.5 hours sitting there on a chair without a sense of panic or restlessness is really remarkable.
It's the same in, we played in San Quentin, you know, same. They resonate, they just resonate. You don't have to do anything. So that's part of why we can travel so much, you know. It's because we're not exhausted, we're actually the opposite. We're lifted energetically every time we play. So that makes it possible for us to do what we do.
Yeah, and that comes through. I could tell, because I was just going to ask you about that, about how it is replenishing, because it seems that way from the outside of that and to me, this is like a huge part actually of like the next phase of leadership, of collaborative leadership. And I think Kirtan has been tapped into this forever, of like to lead, you can encourage and facilitate the structure in which collaboration can happen, and then you can receive, so that the leader too is very deeply replenished from the experience that enables the next level of leadership.
Yeah. Well, we see our gatherings as circular. We feel like we complete the circle when we come onto the stage, and so there's no. We do lead, obviously, but everybody is responsible for the vibe. Everybody in the room is responsible for the evening, and so it becomes very beautiful, very communal, and it's attracting so many people. More and more people are coming, more unlikely in a way. I mean, when I go back to the 60s when we were weird. We were kind of the weird ones, and now many people my age, people coming and going, well, I didn't go that route, tell me, I want to learn. No, I'm done with all that stuff, And I mean, it's come to a point. We recently just did a mantra online, a web kind of a web live thing, and so many amazing people joined us. Tony Robbins joined us, and Russell Brand was there, and like
Mike Tyson.
Even Mike Tyson, and isn't that amazing? And he's started to experiment with ayahuasca and various other of that kind of thing. And he's opened something in him. He said, what did he say after him and his wife were part of
There
it?
was a global Om for 21st of June, and afterwards he was in tears and he said, I'm overwhelmed with love. And it was such a
I just want to hit someone. I feel so good.
Stay
It's fascinating, the full circle as you've become, it's like mainstream's caught up in a way with the fringe, in search of deeper healing, right? Like in search of new experiences and transformational breakthroughs and getting beyond the limitations of the other structures.
Well, that's great. That's great. Well, you're young. It's beautiful that you're finding your way into it. She's frozen there. No, I thought you were. And it's for me, and for me personally, it's amazing to see young people like you, because you are the flame carriers now. You guys, and because we're not Deva, but my generation is going. We're in so we were the ones who were there back in the 60s when it was really happening. There was really this vibration, and everything was a time of innocence, innocence and experimentation, and of course there were casualties, but
So if you were there, where are we now?
Where are we now?
You said we were the ones who were there, and where are we now?
Well, I think
I was wondering the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know. Where are you?
Because you said in the 60s we were there, so that's the
Yeah, but
real time, and now it's not.
yeah, but it was the root. That the 60s was the root. In a way, the 60s was the root. Maybe the 50s if you go back to the Beat generation.
Yeah.
But you know, not you can't go back much further than that, really.
Right.
As far as a cultural thing.
Yeah.
But you know, in the 60s, it was the seed sprouting, and you're the flower. You know, you're one of the flowers of that time. You know, so
Yeah. I mean, it the concept of like the work that's done, you know, by one generation really facilitates the blossoming of the next generation and so on. I would love to hear. There's a lot of I coach a lot of coaches in the habits of yogis. We have a global organization, and what I notice is many coaches who they know a lot. They've walked their own healing path. They know a lot about healing. They've helped a lot of people, and often there's a sense of needing to be in their voice at a next level, and speak their truth, and to really like be in a place where other people can hear them, right? To be that in themselves first. And I'm wondering any advice for people wanting, you know, to deepen their impact and knowing that, you know, this throat chakra, connecting with their heart chakra, connecting with their root, that there's a little bit of blur in there.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many aspects to this. One thing is that I actually, as a European, I hear that Americans talk a lot in their throat. I hear a lot of people going really like that when they talk. I don't know, it's maybe it's some kind of, you know, part of the culture, part of the language. And I feel even just that to be aware of what do I sound like when I speak. Maybe if I lift my voice just a little bit, there's more, you know, of inflection, more melody in it. Maybe it resonates more in the body. And then obviously, like you already said, you know, with mantra, with om, just with an om that leads us through the day that we are chanting whenever we remember, that will caress this area and open it and relax it, and it's, you know, it's the smallest part in the body where things have to go through. So obviously it needs, you know, needs special attention, because usually, you know, if this gets blocked, there's not much space otherwise. So
moment right now, just for us, you know, and you and the people who are watching this, to just relax and just open your mouth for a minute and make a sound. Ah.
Yeah.
Ah.
And also to relax this jaw area, which is so tense. You know, I think this is the strongest muscle in the body. Right there. So just an ah. And then from the ah comes the oo, and then from the oo comes the so aum becomes the om. That is already a good.
A deep breath.
Yeah.
Yeah. Deep breath first. Let's do a deep breath with everybody. So we. Huh?
Okay.
Go ahead. And let's do it together. Take a deep breath, everyone. Take a deep breath. That's good. Close your eyes for a moment also, and bring your gaze up to your third eye when you have your eyes closed. So your eyes are not looking down, which is what they usually do when you close them. Raise your eyes to the third eye and take a deep breath, and with the sound ah, moving towards oh. Deep breath. Relax your throat.
So simple, huh? It's amazing. Already I feel like a totally different inner world. You know, sound. Okay.
Thank you both. It reminds me when my child was really, when she was a baby, all through toddler and her younger years, like every night as she get her in bed and we would just do like just like getting that, like getting her from out and about to just down and in, so she could check in and feel her own and surrender to her own fatigue, and how, like, we're, just how simple it is just to start with and om and have the go into the om, and to take a moment of resonance and relaxing the jaw and the throat. And thank you for that. I'll make sure all the yoga health coaches hear this. Any parting words? I really appreciate you both coming to the Yogahealer show. I'm excited for people to check out your tour schedule and your new albums. And for those who don't know, their website is devapremalmiten.com. That's DevaPremalMiten.com. And it's great because right on there you can hook up their music into your Spotify or iTunes account. It's so fantastic how easy technology is getting. So any closing thoughts you'd like to leave us with?
Should we sing Ocean?
Sing your own song.
Oh, that was advice for.
Yeah, it's in the song.
I can do that with
Okay.
this.
So the parting advice, the parting words. Sing your own song.
I'm going to do that.
Which is, that's you don't have to play, but that's really the key. That's really the key. It's such a simple key, but it's one we forget easily because it's too simple for some of us and it's too difficult for others of us. Because in some ways it's too simple because that's what comes naturally, and anyone can do that. It's so simple. And on the other hand, it's so difficult because it's where we are naked and exposed, and we are, this is me in this lifetime, in this particular packaging, and that's what I have to share. That's what I got to share.
I think that's it. This is an old song. I'm just trying to remember it. Sing your own song. Beat your own drum. Fly on the wind. It'll carry you. Dance your own dance. There's no better chance. Fly on the wind. It'll carry you. And why hesitate when there's nothing to fear? Why do we wait with the moment right here? Be your own light and keep your heart strong and sing your own song.
I love it. Thank you.
Okay.
Sing your own song. Okay.